Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, and welcome to the program. It's September 9th, 2014. It's a Tuesday. Oh, dear God. And Susan is joining us. We're very curious about how her audio will sound.
Yeah, well, me.
You sound okay to me, but how do I sound to you?
Yeah, not great, but better than sometimes. I can at least understand you.
Okay, you don't like Jess is really? Doesn't like the way. Okay, but we can hear you, right? Anybody on the other side, if you give us some feedback about what the audio is, that would be helpful to me because we had a real trying situation yesterday, which I found very embarrassing. So hi, Suze.
Hi. How are you? First, why? Do I sound terrible?
No, you just said I'm fine. You had your that Simpson aunt voice.
I'm sorry. I even like warmed up my voice. It's just the way it sounds. Anyway, given that you were so upset with me a few days ago, I guess I should issue an apology to anybody that saw Calvary on my recommendation for not underlining how dark a movie it was.
Right. And now you're sounding like our guest yesterday sounded on our end, and we don't know what's going on here. And my apologies. If this is will you let... Here's Suze, excuse me. We'll get right back to what you just said. If Susan sounds weird to you, like sort of breaking up, will you let us know? Because it could be it's just what I'm hearing. I don't know. And Jess, this could be in the studio. We're trying to figure it out.
No, you sound funny, too. You do.
Well, how about we string some, string and tin cans together? Maybe that would make a better system.
It shouldn't be this difficult.
It would
it's
seem.
It's an ongoing problem now, although I was the first one to complain about it.
No, you weren't.
And you reprimanded me.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. People have complained. I mean, it is a regular thing on this program to start an interview and have the interviewee say, "I can't hear you." That's the way they always start. So I have asked the powers that be to do something. And
right. Well, it used to be a volume issue. Now it's really a quality issue where you cut out. And at least I'm hearing every syllable. It used to be I'd have to intuit what you were saying from one syllable out of four.
Well, that's good. It's like a luminosity game. It
was. I concentrated very hard. I was usually sweating by the time you were done.
Right. That's good. So Susan was apologizing for toward the end of the show. Maybe last week or the week before, you had said, "Oh,
it was last week.
Great movie. Got to go see this Calvary." So I don't know if any of you took her up on it. I did. And I did not like that movie at all. At all. I found it so unbelievably depressing. So Susan wanted to apologize to any of you who may have seen it, who then also thought you were misled. Or
well, I still stand on the premise that it's a good movie. It's dark. It's not a light little evening. That you think about it, and it has impact, which, you know.
Yeah, but, all right, I agree. But, okay, I'm going to take that movie and trump you. Susan sounds bad, says Larry. Susan's audio is bad. I sound okay. That's to Larry. All right. We will. Let me know. I mean, I need some evidence here for the powers that be. I don't think they have any sense of what's going on here. Okay. I happened to watch a movie. I know we got a lot to talk about, but as long as Susan brought up Cavalry, I just want to give another shout out to a movie that I think I would not heartily recommend for people because, first of all, it's a foreign film. That's a big red flag for a lot of people. I got to read subtitles, although it's not a talky movie, so the subtitles, there's not a lot to look at. It's really from the perspective of two children. And I found it the sweetest, saddest, touchingest. I loved it. It was called Children of Heaven. And I couldn't figure out. I thought it was made in Iran, but I wasn't sure, and I had to actually look it up on the internet because nothing told me that it was. The credits were all in Arabic. Writing. There was nothing apparent to me. It's made in Tehran. And it's really a story of just a sweet little story about two children and about a little boy who has lost his sister's shoes while bringing them back from the cobbler. It is... well, I just thought it was amazingly wonderful. That, to me, was a wonderful movie. And it also shows you, a little bit of a peek inside life in Iran for some people. And it shows the incredible chasm of rich and poor also in Tehran, which is reminiscent of the United States, with rich people living behind they live behind big walls, and, you only talk to them through, intercom systems. And other people live in one room, entire families, and don't have 2 cents or can't afford shoes. So I thought it was fascinating. It turns out it was nominated for Best Foreign Picture the same year that other foreign picture from Italy won, which I hated. The one where the winner, the guy who won Best Actor, ended up standing on chairs.
That Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful.
I didn't like it either. I don't like Happy Little Sweet Little
Happy
Holocaust
Little
movie.
Holocaust movie. It made me puke.
Right.
I really hated it.
That's the epitome of too soon. Yeah.
Well, I'm just sorry. Didn't like it. This one, which was up against it, but of course nobody saw that one because it was a, Iranian film.
Because it made you cry, right?
Well, what made you cry? They both.
The one that you saw.
Well, I think so did the other one.
Well, right.
Right, but no, this one, it's. I was thinking your thing about never wanting to see a child actor. You have trouble when you don't like looking at children of a certain age play intense, emotional.
Yeah, because I can't help but think that it's imprinting trauma on the child's brain.
Huh.
I just think it's the way our brain works. If we know, if we can fool our brain into thinking we're happy by pretending that we're smiling, and as grown-ups, what can playing in a frightening, frightening traumatic role in a child due to that child's brain.
So that's why...
And I'm only saying this because I know it's my own personal experience.
Well,
when Michael Isabart used to do these plays down in our basement, and I played a ghost in one of them, and I scared myself. And I've been afraid of our basement ever since.
I was afraid of our basement ever since, too, but I didn't have that reaction. Basements are scary. I'm sorry. They're just scary. I don't like going down there now.
That. I scared myself.
All right.
I have a very intense memory of it.
Okay, Susan, you sound like hell. Not... Yeah,
I'm sorry, you want to hang up?
No. Here we're getting more comments. Chuck says that I sound okay, but your audio is broken and your volume is low. He says he can still follow you, but why should people have to work?
Yeah, that's hard work.
Why should people have to work at listening to the show? I mean, that's not the intent.
Especially to me.
Yeah, especially to you. Laura describes it as scratchy, in and out, breaking up. Yesterday was worse, though. I give up. I don't know what to do.
I think you have mice in your wires.
Wires? We don't have no stinking wires here. We got string. String in cans. All right. Anyway. So that's why you never saw that movie with the little girl in Louisiana that...
I did see that movie.
Well, why am I blanking on the name? That was a weird name.
The one with Coven.
Yeah, with the strange name.
The one with the father who dies of cancer.
Right. Beasts of the Southern Wild. Because that's a very intense role. So you think that did damage to that child?
I worry about it.
Oh, you worry about it. Okay. It might depend on the kid.
I mean, I don't know that they necessarily... I can't believe that the brain doesn't record it in some way as a real experience. Especially when the child actor does a really fine job. Well, it's a real experience.
Well, like, for instance, this film I watched last night, The Little Boy... who was throughout the movie often in a state of true anxiety but it was anxiety that a child would normally feel for having lost something and worrying that their parents would find out and then getting in trouble in school. And then it was like a child's, it wasn't like my father's dying of cancer and beasts are coming out of the, woodwork. And I would think that a child actor could readily access that kind of, they know exactly what that feels like to, have genuine child fears.
They're going to get into trouble.
Yeah, just sort of everyday child fears. And that was, and also, I don't know. But if anyone wants to take a look at a really sweet, good movie and a peek inside Tehran, which I also thought was interesting. I really liked it. Really did. Okay, so what's the big news? The big news, I guess, is Ray Rice. Ugh. Although Jess can't even bear talking about it. Susan, have you seen the video?
I haven't seen today's newly even more expanded video, but I watched him block her and saw her head hit the railing.
Oh, okay, so you did.
I've seen him drag her out of there like a stack of potatoes.
Yeah, okay.
I know you hate him, but did you see Olbermann's?
Okay, Jess says, I know you hate him, but did you see what Keith Olbermann said? Yes, I did. And he was, of course, eloquent and in a state of high dudgeon about it. And he called...
He thinks everybody and their uncle should resign.
Everybody should resign. He wants everybody, which is a little, probably a little much, but that is what Keith does, a little much. I don't know. Here's the NFL, guys, and we were talking about it the other day about, I really don't have a lot to say about it. This is, I think, an outfit too big to fail. There's too much money in it. It is the biggest sports entertainment, maybe
it is, but it's
juggernaut.
It's not about, Lynn, it's not necessarily about that. It's about the policy of the thugification of the NFL. I mean, if you can go for the best football player, but you ought to be able to sort out for guys that have an unnatural propensity towards violence. And there, I mean, when we have NFL players that are going out, on straight, Tuesdays and Thursdays and murdering people and then reporting for practice, you got a problem.
Hey, but here is a game that is based on attracting people with a propensity for aggression, because the game is about aggression on that level, on a certain level. It's about taking out the guy in front of you. And I just don't know. You can't ask. I mean, if somebody all their life is training for that kind of a job and getting their head in the right place, and often, let's say, taking drugs that might be screwing with their heads too, in certain regards, and they're heroes, and they're national heroes, and they're heroes to everybody, and blah blah blah, and they're I don't think you can have it both ways. I don't know. It's sort of like I was doing an interview yesterday with a former police chief and saying, like, how do you guys weed out, how do you figure out who not to hire so you don't get the wrong personality, the guy who can't sort of separate the job from, or the ability to slug somebody from, what is right, what is wrong, what blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I don't think you can. I don't know. And I think the NFL's got huge problems, and I think I don't think they know what to do. I mean, I don't know. And this woman
I don't think they know what to do either.
Okay, well,
but I'll just point to the fact that I don't think when we were growing up that the players were
that bad?
This bad.
But Susan, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same.
Okay, so what made it different other than policies that decided
money.
to pick?
No, money. When we were growing up, football was a lucrative sport, but it wasn't what it is today. You talk to players who when we were growing up, they weren't making this kind of money. The NFL wasn't making this kind of money. They hadn't figured out how to do all the TV rights and the selling of all this paraphernalia and stuff. It is a totally different thing now. And also, better living through chemistry. The players of today are bigger, faster, stronger. I don't know. And you did hear what one of the guys said on Fox News.
No, I read that somebody said something, and I went out of my way not to see what it was.
Well, here's what they said. This was yesterday. They were talking about it. Maybe they showed the video, and they said this, that, and the other thing. And one of the guys, this is in their morning show, I think, said, well, the moral of the story, take the stairs.
Oh, how disgusting.
Uh-huh.
How disgusting.
Uh-huh. Take the stairs.
Way to make all men look bad. Because it just sounds like, boys will be boys. We all get to hit our women. We're just not supposed to get caught. It's terrible.
You wonder, we hear these statistics that, the statistics are unbelievable. Like almost half of all women report having been physically abused. Mostly this doesn't happen with cameras running. Mostly this happens behind the closed doors of lovely suburban homes and not so lovely, homes in poorer neighborhoods, and it doesn't matter. It's across all socioeconomic, and women are getting slugged and beaten and terrorized. Now, 2 weeks after this, she marries him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but I don't know.
And she said, she tweeted or texted something today, saying, you've destroyed us. Thanks a lot. You know, you've taken everything from us now.
Well, but you don't. My first thought when this thing broke is, oh boy, now she's really in trouble. Because this guy isn't going to say it's my fault for clocking her. This guy's going to say, you just cost me my career.
Right.
So now she's really in trouble. She married him for the lifestyle and the money.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know why she married him. But I do know, I can guarantee you that things are going to be more violent for her now. Not less.
Well, it would seem so. But what happened is, with Twitter, people started, women who stayed with a man who abused her, started tweeting their stories. And the hashtag was why I stayed. Hashtag why I stayed. And there have been, you read some of those and your heart goes out to people. There's billions of reasons why a woman stays. So, a lot of times we jump on a woman who stays. You don't.
No, I wasn't doing that.
No.
Most women stay because there's no place to go.
Right, but that would not be the case with this woman because obviously she had some means because she was married to this rich guy. But I don't know. We don't know. And then just again showing stupidity, DiGiorno Pizza tweeted hashtag why I stayed. What did they say? Hashtag why I stayed, and then said because he had DiGiorno Pizza or something like that.
Oh, so anything is an advertising opportunity.
They later apologized. You do this. We didn't realize what the hashtag was about. We're sorry. We just saw that. Yeah, but everything is an advertising opportunity. Oh, God. So all the tech...
No, and you really can't do the blaming of the victim thing here.
No, you can't.
Whether she stayed or not, she didn't deserve to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
She certainly didn't deserve to get, knocked out and dragged, out of an elevator. It's not about anything that she did or didn't do.
Right. Exactly
but
right.
I'm just here to say that things are going a whole lot worse for her now. And it's because a man that hits a woman, I don't think holds himself accountable. He apologizes, he says all the right things, and he does it again. So he doesn't hold him. It's never really his fault.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone was somewhere I was reading that those of us who haven't had personal experience with this, we often assume that if a guy is like this, that it's because he has anger management problems, that he can't control himself, that he just goes poof. And I read an interesting piece saying that, wait a minute, guys, that's true of some, but an awful lot of these guys that are abusers are methodical about their abuse, are planning their abuse. Those are the really scary ones. Those are the controllers, the total controllers, who figure out exactly how to keep her in line, or how much terror to mete out at certain points. That is a whole other mindset. And I just want to point out again that some guy who might be one of those monsters could be the CEO of a huge corporation, could be a doctor, could be, and it's been, well known and well shown that this is, again, something that happens across all racial, socioeconomic, blah, 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 blah lines.
Well, and can I just point out that it isn't always men abusing women. That there's plenty of women that get violent and
That's true.
And become abusers, and it's certainly not as often, and because of the differences in size and strength, we tend to focus on the other thing, but. Full disclosure, if I were to say in my 38-year marriage, my husband never lifted a hand to me. But there were times that he got me so mad that I slugged him. I knew I wasn't going to hurt him, and I was just hitting him in the arm. But I did that. Most of the time, he caught my arm and laughed at me, which made me even angrier, But sure,
Poor Eric. I slugged him, too.
And we used to slug him all the time. He used to, want to wear padding.
That was love.
I know.
Very
tough love.
Yeah, very tough love. I was at a party the other night, and some guy walks in and he's talking to me, and I vaguely remember him, and he says, all I'm asking, Lynn, is he said, please don't hit me. And I said, what? He said, the last time, don't you remember we were together, you were hitting me? I must do it a lot. I hit guys.
You do it a lot, and you do it repeatedly. Once you start, you go back and do it 3 or 4 times, as if for emphasis. They're your physical exclamation points.
But I'm not hitting hard. I think people are such wimps.
Well, wait a minute. How do you know how it is felt?
Well, I don't know. I'm sort of like one of those, I'm like a boy, in 6th grade or 5th grade who, wants to...
I'm just pointing out.
It's always affectionate.
We were physical, so, I don't... And when we are talking abuse here, in my own experience, if I have to say who was more physically abusive in our house, it was probably me.
Yeah.
It was to a minor degree, but it was there. So it's not like these things don't happen. It's the scale on which they happen.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
What's not going to work out? We're going to try a call. This will be interesting. Here we go. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, great. My feeling is that, I don't know if Susan's on a cell phone, but I'm on a landline.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if I'm coming in clear, that might be the possibility, especially if the guy
No, I'm
was
on
on
a
a cell
landline.
phone.
No, she's on a landline too, Clarence. It doesn't have to do with that.
Okay.
It doesn't. Okay.
All right. All I wanted to point out was when you guys were talking about, hitting, hitting, and you said, well, I do it affectionately. That my little bell went off in my head.
Uh-oh.
Abusers think they're doing it affectionately. That I think that they're it's about control, but these are about love and affection and all this kind of stuff. That's the mindset.
You think
of
I'm an
course, there's
abuser?
control and all kinds of stuff, but there's but that this is affection. As soon as you said that, I went ooh.
Ooh. Well, you better steer clear of me, Clarence, because I like you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That getting hit thing. Yeah, all that stuff. I was like, oh yeah. That's well. I had one of my sisters was in an abusive relationship at one point, and I was telling her because he was a crier. After oh, I'm so sorry. This that. Oh my. Everybody says, yeah, men have to be. He said he's so sensitive. He has to. He shows his emotions. I said, yeah, he's an extreme on either end.
Right.
Yeah, and I said, if you can't control your emotions, crying, you're not going to be able to control your anger. I said, of course you should cry and all this kind of good stuff, but you have to have some type of control.
Yeah.
I hate to use this word, anger management, but, I always say there's anger management. There's also, the opposite end of that. You have to manage that, too. Because
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, I don't think crying while you're apologizing is not is not controlling your emotion. But what it is it's manipulative. These guys, that's how they keep their women with them.
Yeah.
They're great apologizers.
Yeah, and the whole crying thing, especially to women.
Right. They're like, contrite. I'll never do really it again. Sorry. I know. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Well, I promise never to hit you.
Well, it's possible you'll never get the chance. I haven't seen you wet in 10 years.
Oh, you'll be seeing me, Clarence.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a threat. Thank you.
All right.
Right, bye.
Been that long?
No, because I remember we were at an event downtown, it might be about 6-7 years. It's been a while. Okay. I just read this today. Joan Rivers' funeral. Excuse me, I just got to get this in. So Howard Stern did the eulogy.
Yes, you just heard what he said?
His opening line?
Yeah.
His opening line? I just heard it. Did you hear it, Jess? Okay. I do it. He got up in this synagogue and said the following. Joan Rivers' only problem was that she had a dry vagina.
Which got a huge laugh. And, if there would have been no one laughing harder than her. She used to make the joke on herself all the time.
It says, Rabbi Joshua Davidson smiled. He had to know he was in for something. Apparently, everybody who got up to speak had to keep looking at the rabbi and saying, Rabbi, I'm sorry. Because if they were telling a story about her. Joan Rivers' only problem was that she had a dry vagina. That's good stuff. And she didn't get everything she wanted at her funeral, because some of the stuff she wanted, it just wasn't going to happen.
No, she didn't get Meryl Streep and crying in 5 different languages.
Meryl Streep crying in 5 different languages or accents, and she didn't get
she didn't get a fan blowing
her hair.
Like Beyonce.
Right, so her hair in the casket would be blowing like Beyonce's, but of course there was no casket. She had been cremated, but it just sure seemed like she had a hell of an whatever. And did you hear what she did? She had her friend's ashes. And she was supposed to dispose of her... What?
No, tell me, what?
She was supposed to dispose of a friend's ashes. And she was always looking for the right place. I don't know if her friend had asked her to do this, but why would the friend think she'd ever had the opportunity? Anyway, Joan Rivers ends up at a reception at, get this, Buckingham Palace. And she brought...
Did she leave her friend there?
Yeah. She brought her friend's ashes. And she said to the group of people she was with, excuse me, would you just stand in front of me here for a second? And they did. And she put the bag of ashes inside a vase in Buckingham Palace. And she said, I don't know how deep they clean here. He could still be there. Deborah Norville told that story. God.
Yes.
Is that funny? God bless her.
Well, our mother just saw her in Green Bay a few months ago.
Really?
Doing a show at the Bay Theater.
Really?
Or
wow.
The Mire, as it's called now.
Wow.
And she said she was remarkable.
Yeah, she's something. I mean, a ton of energy. And actually, she's lucky. She wasn't sick. She didn't. She went out.
No, she had no idea. She went in expecting to get an endoscopy, expecting to come out, and instead that was it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to die.
Right, it is. Yeah.
Hard on everyone around you, but really good. That they should take great comfort in the fact that the person they love didn't suffer or have a moment of fear.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right. So that would have been a great funeral.
Yeah, and then because I can't help myself, I read comments to stories. So I'm reading comments to, the description of her funeral. And the first one is, I just think it's terrible to spend that much money on an event when they're on. I'm going, who asked you? I mean, a person isn't entitled to their funeral and their friends coming to. I mean, it's just amazing.
What do you mean a lot of money was spent? I mean, people paid their own. What do you mean?
I don't think it was a lot of money. It was in a synagogue.
You don't rent the synagogue. You go to the synagogue. People come to the funeral.
Right.
What? She did have bagpipers. She did have that gay choir singing, but all of that would have been voluntary. People wanting to be part. Maybe the bagpipers got paid, but yeah. What do you mean money?
I don't know.
So one of the things funerals don't necessarily do is, I mean, in that regard, I mean, I don't get that. Did she have a casket? She didn't even have a casket.
No, you haven't. You're usually put in a casket in which you're burned.
You mean you spend money for a casket and then you burn it?
A lot of people do. Some people don't. Some people
that
don't,
is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, some people are in a casket and for the service, and then they go to the crematorium there. They did it the other way around.
Well, she did it the other way around, which makes perfect sense. I mean, why would you do that? Excuse me, everybody. To each their own. Far be it from me to criticize other people's whatever.
And somebody else thought it was unseemly that it was so public, and someone wrote in and said, "What do you mean it was public? It was invitation only. Those public people were her friends."
It wasn't public at all. You had to have an invitation.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know.
There is no end to people who think they have a right to have an opinion, usually negative, about stuff, A, that they know nothing about, and B, that's none of their goddamn business.
Hey!
I just don't approve. I don't approve of anything I didn't think of myself.
Oh, listen to this one. Susan, you mentioned, so I decided to go on and look at the comments after this piece. Oh, dear God in heaven. Listen to this. It's number 2. Just came in. Did the children of Gaza find the funeral as bittersweet? Oh, that's right. They're crippled, homeless, or dead.
Right. So, according to that logic,
what does that have? Joan Rivers killed him?
Thrown in the gutter doesn't deserve a funeral because...
But how would Gaza come up?
Is
it because she's a Jew? It's because she's a Jew they brought that up.
Oh, okay. Jews don't deserve funerals.
No. And Jews are, that's the same as whoever... Good God. Oh.
Okay, don't read them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I instructed you to cast your eye downward. Don't look.
Oh, my God.
Don't look.
No, there's a lot of nice ones, though, too. Oh, my God. Yiko. God, they're horrible people here. This is what the Internet does allow, and this has been talked about so often. The anonymity of the Internet allows people to absolutely display their most god-awful impulses. And nothing happens. Oh, God. Okay, I'll stop. But, oh, Susan, you shouldn't do this.
First I tell you to see a bummer of a movie, and now I'm telling you to read the comments.
Oh, my God.
No, it's just amazing. I mean, the woman died. She had a funeral. What could you possibly say? And boy, can they think of it.
Oh. All right. Well. Hey, so the big day for the nerds today. Big, huge day. I wonder what they're doing. Are they dying? 1 o'clock, is it?
Well, no, here it's noon.
Yes,
I'm
well,
watching,
right.
even as we speak, Apple stock is beginning to sink, which it always does, at the anticipation of something new.
What, Apple stock goes down when...
Yeah, it always does. It started up today, but it's on its way down, and I promise you, as soon as Tim Cook opens his mouth, it's going to tank about $2.
All right, okay, then it'll go back up. Anyway, so they're unveiling their big new phone and their watch. They have some kind of a watch. Big friggin' deal. And now it'll be
We don't know what they're going to call it. We're dubbing it the iWatch.
Susan sounds like...
iWatch.
Susan sounds like Cher on one of her songs where they augment the sound. And it sounds like...
Yeah.
And
if you believe in love, in love.
She sounds like she's singing in an echo chamber with a very tinny quality. I think the song is, "Do You Believe in Love?"
I got it.
Yeah, Noreen, she's right on it. I didn't know that song. Susan sounds, here's what it is. Susan sounds like a person using an electrolarynx. You know, someone who's had their... Yeah, right. That's what you sound like.
Terrific. It's something I've always aimed for.
Aaron says, I think there's a definite difference between what Lynn does and abuse. Thank you for coming to my aid, Aaron. That's absurd to think they're the same. Uh-oh. Aaron says, I pinch. I don't like pinching. You know... Oh, Aaron, you should have quit while you were ahead there. I don't like pinching. And you know what else I hate more than anything? Tickling.
Oh, tickling is the worst.
Tickling is about as hostile an act as somebody can perform. Unless they know.
I experience it as total pain.
Yes. And unless the ticklee is consensual. Now, I know some people's sexual life, they like to tickle each other, I guess. Oh, dear God. I'd rather be slugged. I'd rather have Ray Rice come and deck me. I'm serious. than have anybody tickle me. And pinching? When I like somebody, Aaron says, and we're laughing or excited, I give a little pinch on the arm. It's genuinely infectious. No one has ever been bruised. I'm also a hugger. Everybody gets a hug. Too much hugging going on, too.
Hugs are not slugs.
Hugs are not slugs. Well,
I mean, Lynn does tend to haul off and lay one on you.
It's like I am. You know, I'm a little...
You're boisterous, that's all.
I am. I get boisterous, and I don't know my own strength, or something like that. All right, what else is going on in the world? By the way, I'll tell you what's going on in the world. I had the shock of my life this morning. I got up, stumbled down the stairs, opened my front door, and there were no newspapers. None.
Why?
I live off those newspapers. I don't know. It's never happened. No New York Times.
Did your guy get sick and skip you?
Something. I don't know. So then I went online to try to... God, I hate reading papers online. Jeez.
No, reading papers online is not the same experience, I have to say.
It was awful.
Yeah. And I frequently will be online reading a story and then go look for it to see where it's placed in the newspaper and how it looks in the newspaper. Because that all affects your reaction to the article.
Well, all I was able to do, because it slowed me down, was to look at our local paper online, and they just put the whole paper up. So I was looking at page 1, and then I would, to page 2. So I saw exactly where everything was, but It's a pain in the neck if you want to jump to it. I hate it. I hate it.
Well, if the New York Times does a fairly good job, but what you aren't allowed to do, in a lot of the ways that like the Washington Post site, it's very difficult to scan the whole thing and then decide what you want to read. Which is how I like to do it. I like to run
get a
my
general
eye
look
over the whole thing and then go back and read.
Right.
Although this Sunday's New York Times was a challenge. The arts and entertainment section
was
weighed
5,000 pages long. Right. That is true. So, okay, here's another one. I'm getting many metaphors. Susan sounds like she's talking into a fan. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you don't. So, did you see the?
Hearing a wop 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 wop.
Okay,
yeah.
and now the other question is: did you see the episode of Louis C.K. where he elbowed the young woman because she was tickling him? Yes, I did see that. I saw that. Some woman in bed was tickling him, and he had the reaction that you would have, Susan, or I would have. He couldn't stand it, and he just trying to get her. He went like this and got her in the face with his elbow, and I guess almost killed her.
Well, teacher.
Well, I don't know.
See, I consider that to be self-defense.
Yes, I think too. He was being tortured, and he did what he could because she wouldn't stop. Oh,
it's a real sadistic kind of.
I think it's very sadistic too. Yeah, very odd. Very odd.
The person that is being tickled is not experiencing the pleasure that the person doing the tickling pretends they are.
Do you think that people get confused because when a response to tickling is first to sort of laugh, and they hear a laugh as something positive and happy, so that even when somebody starts screaming, then stop, they're getting, somehow their brains aren't processing.
Yeah, but if you actually listen to the laughter sounds more like crying without tears.
Yeah, it sounds scared.
It's not happy laughter.
No, it's not happy laughter. I don't get it. Why people can't figure that out. All right, here's something. Did you hear about this? This is a guy who belongs to the Air Force. Did you hear about this? And,
I don't know.
Well, I guess airmen assigned to whatever, they renew their oath of enlistment.
It's like renewing their vows?
Something like that. Or he was in the Air Force and he wanted to re-enlist, and he came in and said, he can take the oath that they take, but it ends, here's the oath. I, Lynn Cullen, do solemnly swear that I will, or you can say affirm, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God.
And he wouldn't say, so help me God?
That is correct. And the Air Force told him, forget it. You can't do it then.
Sorry, there's a constitutional.
Yeah, total. That is so.
What part of separation of church and state don't they get?
What part of? What part
of? If you don't believe in God, what difference does it make if you swear to God?
What part of the First Amendment do you not get? It's unbelievable. But do you know, Susan, and this is the idiots who told him he couldn't join then, are such fools that they don't realize that the Air Force even finally recognized that their oath was unconstitutional and did say, I think it wasn't until last year, that so help me God is optional. 2013, the Air Force updated the rules regarding re-enlistment of Air Force men and said that they didn't have, airmen may omit the words, "so help me God."
Well, you know, the
2013.
Yeah, but the Air Force is the one that has had almost, 10 times more of the sexual harassment scandals
and religious scandals.
Really...
No, they've had religious scandals too. There's been a strong sort of Christianized element where if cadets are not willing to be part of that, they're ostracized, they're this, they're that. There have been a number of cases. It's a hostile environment for anyone who is not a Christian.
A white male Christian.
Probably. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, the First Amendment is news to a lot of people who supposedly, think of this oath, supposedly they are there to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. It doesn't say I'll defend the United States. It says, I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't say the United States. It says I'll defend the Constitution. And yet, they then breach the idea, the whole thing about the Constitution at the end by saying, so help me God. Unbelievable. What a clueless country. Okay, here's a little quick note. Might make you smile. We got a caller. Mm-hmm. Hello, caller.
Yes, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, what percentage of the people in the United States are Christian, do you think?
Are Christian? Well,
yes.
I think that's probably as high as like 80...
40%?
No, more than that.
More than that?
Oh, yeah.
You think?
Christian? Identify as Christian? It's over 50.
Yeah, the whole population.
It's over 50%. I'm sure of it.
Okay. Because I was wondering why they're pushing this religion so much. I heard it was like 48% or something before.
Susan, wouldn't you think it's higher than that?
I don't know, but I mean, it doesn't. They've never concerned with themselves with whether they're the majority or the minority. They just think they're right.
Well, I think they're the majority. I do, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a pluralistic country. That's the whole reason that we would ask somebody to defend us, because we're different in that way, in many ways, or supposedly are. And there's a whole bunch of folks who don't understand it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Including...
In the United States, 77% identify as Christian.
There you go. See, I was going to say 80-something. Yeah, 77%. Yeah, it's big.
That was in December 12, 2012.
That number will go down, I would think, or it might go up because of Hispanic population being largely Catholic. I would think.
And another poll in the ABC News says most Americans say they're Christian.
You do sound a little, you know who you sound like?
Christian.
You sound like Stephen Hawking. That's that larynx thing. Yeah, you sound like Stephen Hawking. You sound like a computer voice. That's what it's just awful. Unbelievable. Here's some good news. This is out of Forbes magazine. And it's interesting, Forbes, which is the, their owner famously ran for the Republican nomination for president. Remember him? Anyway, they say this in a recent article. Economically, President Obama has outperformed President Reagan in all commonly watched categories. Simultaneously, the current administration has reduced the deficit, which skyrocketed under Reagan. Additionally, Obama has reduced federal employment, which grew under Reagan. And has truly delivered a smaller government. Additionally, the current administration has kept inflation low, even during extreme international upheaval, failure of foreign economies, and a dramatic slowdown in the European economy. That's from Forbes. You think Republicans who, will they acknowledge that? Huh? Isn't it something?
I doubt it.
Because that's fact.
They don't acknowledge any other facts. Why would they acknowledge that one?
I know. Why would they? How silly of me to even think it. Right. Aye. All right, so what else we got here? I'm so annoyed about the sound, Susan, I can't see straight.
I know. I'm afraid to talk. I've gone from Cher to Stephen. What's his name? It's not good.
Hawking. Yeah.
Hawking.
A little bit, yeah. A little Hawking-ish. Yeah. So, there was a scathing. We'll let you go in 5 minutes, but first we're going to tar and feather your St. Louis County, where you currently are.
Yes.
Did you see?
Gee, how refreshing. No.
Did you see the editorial in the New York Times?
There were so many things about where I live in the New York Times on Sunday that I was having a hard time reading them all. But I noted the editorial. I threw out the paper before.
All right, I'm just going to read.
Say?
I'm going to read a little bit of it. They're saying that the feds should not just look at Ferguson; they need to look at St. Louis County, and they're saying there is quite a bit of evidence that suggests that St. Louis County may be systematically targeting poor and minority citizens for street and traffic stops, which has the effect of criminalizing entire communities.
Well, can I just say that if you live here, that is such old news.
Yeah. And I'm sure that is. But listen, I mean, the Justice Department will find plenty of evidence. The Washington Post reported last week some of these municipalities in St. Louis County get 40% or more of their revenue from traffic fines and fees. And that means that drivers can, like a black guy driving, can pass through several towns in just a few miles. You can do that here right outside of Pittsburgh, too.
Right. And
can be stopped literally every 2 blocks and fined. Then they can be detained, they can be dragged into courts or jails, and then they maybe not show up, then they miss a court date. According to a report by the state attorney general, black motorists in Maplewood were searched or arrested during stops at more than twice the rate of whites. And then they go on about how these... there seems to be a structure in place that is just there to persecute minorities. Yeah. In one community, Bell Ridge, last year, 100% of all searches and arrests in traffic stops were of black people. Not one white person. Often people who then can't pay the fines are jailed. They lose their jobs. They lose their houses as a result of being locked up. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
No, I've told you. I have friends who will not drive through Frontenac because they get stopped every single time. They take a different route so they don't have to go through the town to my south. They approach my house from the street going north.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
That is something.
And I have been known to call the judge and say, and just flat out say, does the Constitution exist?
Well, maybe not. Maybe not at the U.S. Air Force Academy where people are being trained to supposedly defend it. It's pointed out by one of our callers that the Air Force Academy is in Colorado, and that Colorado is also home to a lot of real, intensely right-wing Christian organizations. Henry writes, buried in all the Ray Rice coverage yesterday was the NCAA's lifting of Penn State sanctions after only 2 years of what was supposed to be a 4-year penalty. Penn State is immediately bowl eligible, and all scholarships have been restored. In addition, NCAA withdrew their lawsuit regarding how and where the $60 million is spent, blah, blah, blah. Not sure how I feel about this, but I'm thinking this was done too soon. If not for Ray Rice, this would have been this top sports story yesterday. Maybe so. I think they were looking at some lawsuits that the NCAA is in big trouble.
I think that what the unfortunate effect was that they end up punishing people that had nothing to do with it.
That might be part of it, but also the NCAA, much like the NFL, is under incredible attack right now. They spend more time in court now or dealing with lawyers than anything else. And I suspect that part of that is just wanting to get that one behind them. Just do it. But I agree, Susan, that might be part of it. And then Ed writes, did you see the episode on 60 Minutes on Sunday? Yes, I actually happened to do this. Little boys as young as 5 learning to be future Ray Rices. And their parents, this is for quarterbacks. They were learning to be quarterbacks. And their parents traveling across the country and paying $400 an hour for the training. Yeah, it was a incredible piece about some parents of kids, young kids who want to be quarterbacks, spending all their time and their money trying to make their kid into, Ben Roethlisberger or something. I don't know.
Well, it's pretty crazy. But, if there weren't football, those are the kind of parents that would be spending all their time and money trying to make their kid into something else.
Well, that's true. And and one parent said, I just want my child to know. I don't want him later in life or something saying, I wanted to do this and they wouldn't. That parent was looking at it as, I want my kid to know how much I'm in his corner, how much I'm there for. God almighty. Idiots. And you got to figure the parents are really, it's their, that's screwy.
I don't know. I think sometimes the way you let your kid know that you're in their corner is by saying no and teaching them the reality of life.
Exactly right. And on that intelligent note, almost sounding human, we shall end this broadcast. And Susan, I certainly hope that the next time you join us, you will not sound like a robot.
Okay, and I just want to say publicly to Jeff, I love you and I'll miss you and great success.
Thank you, Susan. I love you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Damn it! All right. Well, I guess we have a show tomorrow, don't we? I hope I see you. And let's not have any guests so that at least we don't have to deal with that. That's what's going to happen. I won't be able to have anybody call in ever. This is ridiculous. How long has the show been on? 5 years? Yeah, you think we would, All right. Goodbye, and thank you.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.